Chapter 1. Boring? Joel demanded, stopping in place. You think the 1888 Kroot-Choi duel was boring? Michael shrugged, stopping and looking back at Joel. I don't know. I stopped reading after a page or so. You're just not imagining it right, Joel said, walking up and resting one hand on his friend's shoulder. He held his other hand in front of him, panning it as if to wipe away their surroundings, the green lawns of Armedius Academy, and replace them with the dueling arena. Imagine, Joel said, it's the end of the melee, the biggest Rithmatic event in the country. Paul Crewe and Adele Choi are the only two duelists left. Adele survived against all odds after her entire team was picked off in the first few minutes. A few other students stopped on the sidewalk to listen nearby as they passed between classes. So, Michael said, yawning. So? Michael, it was the finals. Imagine everyone watching, in silence, as the last two Rithmatists begin their duel. Imagine how nervous Adele would have been. Her team had never won a melee before, and now she faced down one of the most skilled Rithmatists of her generation. Paul's team had shielded him at their center so that the lesser players fell first. They knew that would get him to the end practically fresh, his defensive circle almost completely untouched. It was the champion against the underdog. Boring, Michael said. They just sit there and draw. You're hopeless, Joel replied. You are going to the very school where Rithmatists are trained. Aren't you even a little interested in them? They have enough people interested in them, Michael said with a scowl. They keep to themselves, Joel. I'm fine with that. I'd rather they weren't even here. A breeze ruffled his blonde hair. Around them spread the green hills and stately brick buildings of Armedius Academy. Nearby, a clockwork crab continued its quiet duty, chopping at the grass to keep it level. You wouldn't think that way if you understood, Joel said, getting out some chalk. Here, take this, and stand here. He positioned his friend, then knelt and drew a circle on the sidewalk around him. You're Paul. See, defensive circle. If that gets breached, you lose the match. Joel paced back a ways on the concrete quad, then knelt and drew his own circle. Now, Adele's circle was nearly breached in 4 places. She quickly began to shift from the Matson defense to... Oh, okay. You know what? That's too technical. Just know that her circle was weak, and Paul had a strong, dominant position. If you say so, Michael said. He smiled at Eva Winters as she walked past, holding books in front of her. Now, Joel said, Paul started pounding her circle with lines of vigor, and she knew she wouldn't be able to shift defenses quickly enough to recover. Pounding... lines of what? Michael asked. Lines of vigor, Joel said. Duelists shoot them at each other. That's the point. It's how you breach the circle. I thought they made little chalk things, creatures. That too, Joel said. They're called Chalklings. But that's not why everyone remembers the 1888 melee, even some 20 years later. It was the lines she shot. Conventional wisdom would have been for her to last as long as she could, draw out the match, make a good showing of it. He set his chalk out in front of his circle. She didn't do that, he whispered. She saw something. Paul had a small, weakened section on the back of his circle. Of course, the only way to attack it would be to bounce a shot off 3 different lines left by other duelists. It was an impossible shot. She took it anyway. She drew 1 line of vigor as Paul's Chalklings aided her defenses. She fired it and... Caught up in the moment, Joel finished drawing the line of vigor in front of him, raising his hand with a flourish. With surprise, he realized that some 30 students had gathered to listen to him, and he could feel them holding breaths, expecting his drawing to come to life. It didn't. Joel wasn't a Rithmatist. His drawings were just ordinary chalk. Everyone knew that, Joel most of all, but the moment somehow broke the spell of his story. The gathered students continued on their way, leaving him kneeling on the ground in the middle of his circle. Let me